Oh, time for what's trending, but of course, we're talking about the 2023 college football season on deck. Our panel of college football experts were faced with plenty of difficult decisions selecting the CBS Sports and 24/7 Sports Preseason All-America team. Our teams combined together, joining forces once again to honor the players who expect to shine, of course, for the next 4 months this fall. Breaking it all down by conference, no surprise to many, of course. The Big Ten, the SEC sitting atop there, but the Big Ten total 16 compared to the SEC's 15. Then at the bottom, the Mountain West checking in with just 1 when it comes to the All-America team. Ain't nobody better to break this all down than my guy, of course, Barrett Sallee on tap with us here on HQ. And Barrett, taking a look at the first team, kind of want to jump into this. The offensive side, give me 3 players that have your attention this year.
Well, Caleb Williams, obviously, with what happened last year, winning the Heisman Trophy, and now with USC in year 2 of the Lincoln Riley scheme, can they become a college football playoff team? I think that's the goal. I think that's the expectation in Los Angeles. And so for Caleb Williams, I think it's going to be fascinating to see what he can do. And then Marvin Harrison, to me, you look at that Ohio State wide receiving core, it is, in my opinion, the best in the country. And it might be one of the best we've seen in a decade or 2. Marvin Harrison is the leader of that. He's going to be the guy who ushers in the new system with the new quarterback, whether it be Kyle McCord or Devin White. And I think for Marvin Harrison, he's comfortable with that. If you watched him at Big Ten Media Days, he understands his role. He knows the assignment, and he welcomes that with open arms. And then when you look at Brock Bowers, obviously, a tight end is just a freak. I wouldn't even call him a tight end. I'd call him a wide receiver because that's what he does. He makes some circus catches, and he's, like I said, with Marvin Harrison, Brock Bowers is going to help transition that Georgia offense into a new era with Mike Bobo calling plays, but also with a new quarterback, whoever wins that job.
Guys, we have seen shine, of course, not too long ago. Expect to do the same, as you mentioned there. Headline there by Caleb Williams and, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr. and other as well. Switching to the defensive side, first team, you see it here from our crew. Any players, when you're talking about opposing teams, you might be fearful of looking at this list?
My dude, Harold Perkins. I think Harold Perkins is the best player in college football. That's right, the best player in college football. And you know what's scary about him? He gets one of the best players in college football back in Mason Smith at defensive tackle. So he's going to have even more room to run. So Harold Perkins for LSU. If LSU gets back to the SEC championship game and maybe wins it, it's going to be because their star shows out on that defense. And now Jared Verse. Look, Florida State, they got the best recruit in the country in Jared Verse, and it wasn't because he was a high school recruit. It's because they convinced him to come back and not go to the NFL. A total freak, a total game changer. And if Florida State's going to contend, they need Jared Verse to show out. He did it all last year, and I think he's going to do it this year. And then Malachi Starks. You look at this kid in game 1, had this big interception. I mean, look at that dude. That is just a freak. In his first game. And now you look at Georgia's defense, it's lather, rinse, repeat, right? You get one crew going to the NFL, the next crew comes in. You get that crew to leave like they did last year. Oh, who's going to step up in the secondary? Malachi Starks, a guy who showed it from day 1 when he stepped on campus in Athens.
2 big standouts there, as you mentioned, from the SEC and 1 from the ACC. All right, what about the second team? Give me 1 offensive player that you're keeping tabs on.
Rocket Sanders. One of the best running backs you've never heard of at Arkansas. And when you combine him with this offense and new coordinator, Dan Enos, and a quarterback in KJ Jefferson, who's extremely unique in terms of how you prepare for him, get ready for the Rocket Sanders show. This guy might actually flirt with 2,000 yards. Everybody's going to be focused on KJ. That's going to leave Rocket in space. And we know what happens when you put a rocket in space. Bad things happen, and they're going to happen to opposing defenses.
All right, expect him to take off there for Arkansas. Rocket, that is, Sanders, when it comes to the Razorbacks. How about a second-team defensive player you're watching?
Dallas Turner. We've all been waiting for Dallas Turner to step in and be that focal point for the Alabama defense. Will Anderson was that guy for a couple years. It's going to be Dallas Turner this year. They're going to ride that defense. They're going to be more defensive-oriented in Tuscaloosa this year, but they have that disruptor. You see him right there, number 1-5 in the end zone. He can make plays. He can force turnovers. And even if he isn't making tackles, he's got 2 guys on him that frees up the rest of his teammates to do the dirty work on that defense.
All right, we'll see how that pans out. As always, Alabama has a guy when it comes to that All-America team. As always, appreciate it, Barrett Sallee, breaking it all down. Want to take a look at it, though. The preseason awards, well, no surprise. Caleb Williams, a DMV legend, I like to call him, at USC, no surprise. And then Kirby Smart trying to make it a three-peat when it comes to Georgia. And then freshman of the year, Caleb Downs. We'll see how that pans out there for the Tide. As always, they have so many corners that have come from a Roll Tide there, maybe going to the next level. His freshman year coming up there with Nick Saban and the crew. Don't forget, Cover 3, as always, the guys tapping in. We're just a few weeks away from everything kicking off, and I guarantee you they're excited. Just listen in and download and subscribe.